Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and I'm back with another community question. This one comes from Uggs, and they ask, what is your most revisited retro game? Something you just have to pull off the shelf a bit more often than others. So to help me answer this question, I've reached out to a bunch of YouTubers, both people that have been on my channel for a while, and also some new faces. I think this is gonna be really cool. You guys are gonna love this. But to start off with, we're gonna go to my buddy, Reggie.
So the game I always go back to, and I'm pretty sure you guys have heard this before, but it's always Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. That is my favorite Resident Evil game to this day. Not the remake, the original. That game just has so many good things going for it, with the survival horror. They really tried to change it up. Fast-paced action, the Nemesis stalking you, it was terrifying. The game didn't overstay its welcome. It's just always something I play every year. And I implore you guys to play it too, because Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is the best Resident Evil game out there. You heard it here first.
So my most revisited retro games of all time, can we really call them retro? PlayStation 1 Extreme Sports games. Now these are games that I play on the weekly, at least one of them, mainly Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. I can't get over how replayable these games are still 25 years on. Also, the soundtracks to these games have really helped shape my taste in music. Love that 80s, 90s hip hop, rock. Early 2000s as well too. Some of these games had the best soundtracks I've ever heard from a game. Really disappointing these days though, how we don't get games like this anymore. Hopefully in the future we'll see a few more extreme sports games coming out. Even though I get pretty frustrated playing these games. Ah! What are you doing, mate? Ha! I absolutely love him.
What is your most revisited retro game? Stuff you have to pull down from the shelf often? Gonna have to say Castle of Illusion on the Genesis, also Shadow Dancer on the Genesis. Those are just incredibly fun games, and they're quick and easy. And I also like Super Monkey Ball on the GameCube, the first one. Yes, the GameCube is a retro, and yes, it is easy. I love it.
This one got me smiling. My most revisited retro game, it was definitely a toss-up between two titles. One, Super Mario Kart, and two, Super Mario World. Now, I'm a sucker for a side-scroller, so I had to pick Super Mario World. And I also love pixel art. And for me personally, some of the pixel art on this game that I have here on the shelf, that pixel art is definitely my favourite out of any game ever released, ever. The colours look great. Obviously, we got to saw Yoshi for the first time. We got to see him, hitting that block for the first time. Yoshi bursting out the egg. Everything about it felt incredible. It was a wow moment back then, and still to this day, I have completed it. Yes, I absolutely have, but I've never gotten all of the Switch Palaces. So I think I need to go back through it and hit the Switch Palaces, because then I can get more out of my experience with Super Mario World. But then, if I 100% it, would I play it again? Absolutely, I'd play it again. 100% I would play it again. And as much as I love Super Mario Kart, it doesn't have the replay value that Super Mario World has. It is a masterpiece and one of the best games on the Super Nintendo, which is my favourite console of all time.
The immortal John Hancock here, and today I'm talking about the most visited retro game more often than others, and I have a big one, and you can see here with my shirt, I am a huge Ghosts and Goblins fan. And the game on the Sega Genesis, Ghouls and Ghosts, the follow-up, and the arcade classic. I absolutely love this game. I've played many versions of it on different platforms, everything from the Super Graphics version to others. Sega Master System version is really good, but this is my favorite. This is one of my all-time favorites for the Sega Genesis. I play this and beat it annually. You have to go through the whole game twice. I'm not the best player. I play this and I die just like everybody else. But what I love about the Sega Genesis version is there's unlimited continues, and you can get through the game. And fantastic port of the arcade classic. Capcom really did a really great job on this. Absolutely love this game, and by far one of my go-to retro games that I go to and it's on the Sega Genesis. I love this. Mwah. Love it.
The game that I have probably played the most in my life that I just keep going back to, it's my favorite video game of all time, Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo. I just love that game so much. Like, the graphics, they still hold up. It still looks good. The music is fantastic. And it's just such a comfort game for me. I think because I've played it so many times, I just can kind of breeze through it. And sometimes I don't want to have to think too hard about what I'm doing in the video game. So I always go back to that one.
Oh, it's a great question, too, because I think of all the games I have in my backlog that I haven't even opened yet. And yet I still keep going back to the classics that I've played over and over again for the last 20, 30 years. The game I probably reached for the most isn't even my favorite game of all time, but Super Dodgeball for the NES is a game I can just pop in, I can play a round or two in a couple of moments, I can play all the way through it and just beat the game in like less than half an hour or something like that. It's a game I can keep coming back to. And I can just do it over and over again and still do today. So my quick and easy answer, if I had to choose one retro game I keep coming back to, never mind my backlog, I'll get to that when I get to it. That's my retirement gift to myself, is going through my backlog. In the meantime, I'm popping in Super Dodgeball, no doubt indeed.
Well, for me, it's not necessarily a specific game, but more of a genre, with that being light gun games, as you can see here. Honestly, I'm currently hooked on titles for the PS1 and can't get enough of playing games like Time Crisis and Point Blank, which I will say, if you haven't tried it already, is a great party game. I even shared how I managed to patch my copy of Die Hard Trilogy to work with my all-time favourite light gun, this one here, Namco's G-Con 45.
Most revisited retro game, huh? That's an interesting question here. Because, yeah, I do go back and play classic games regularly on the setup here behind me. It's just something that I enjoy. It helps me sort of relax and unwind, right? But over the years, there's definitely a few games I return to often enough. But if I really got to give it to just one, and only one, it has to be Super Mario World for Super NES. So this is multi-tiered, I guess you could say. So obviously, it's a fantastic game, right? It's peak 2D Mario. The controls are perfect. Level design is great. Everything about the core game design here is excellent. For my money, it's still the best 2D Mario game that has ever been made, especially relative to the time it released. So there's that going for it. Then there's the whole nostalgia factor, because of course, this was a game that really got my attention back when it first came out, and I really, really loved playing it. So it definitely scratches that nostalgia itch as well. In addition, I think it just looks and sounds great. Like, it's got a very simple, clean design that every time I put it on, just the sights and sounds coming out of my setup, it's something I find so pleasing that I just enjoy it, right? And it's almost difficult to explain why, but it just scratches that part of my brain that makes me want to go, oh man, this is great. I got to keep playing. And so as a result, I've pretty much been playing through the entire game at least once a year. And sometimes I just randomly pop it in. It's also one of my big test games. I just throw it in all the time, play some levels. Just that feel of picking up the controller, running around, it's so captivating. It really is a masterpiece, I think. Now, obviously, not everyone's going to agree that it's the best Mario, and maybe it's not even my favorite Mario game overall, necessarily. It's difficult to say, but it's definitely the one that I play the most, and I think I will continue to play it. And it always feels so fresh every time I load it up, despite having played through it so many times. That's not even getting into things like ROM hacks and all that add a lot more to it, but just the game itself. Great freaking game, man. The only one that's even close to this is something like maybe Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is kind of in a similar boat, but that game itself, as much as I love it, it's a smaller scope game overall, and it's just sort of a continuous run through. I think the save feature in the world map aspect of Mario makes it really great to just sort of pick up and play, set down, and then pick it up again the next day. So I'm going with that one.
Oh man, what a tough question. Well, my go-to answer is often Hero on the Atari 2600. I love that game. I include it in most of my intros for my videos. However, I thought I would dig a little bit deeper for this particular video and talk about something that I don't always mention, but it's just as good, and that is Doom 1 and 2. What can you say about Doom that hasn't already been said before? They are masterpieces and they still hold up today. That's the amazing thing. You know, if I want an old school boomer shooter, as the kids are calling them today, this is it, right? This is the game. Both Doom 1 and 2 are the games that I will go back to time and time again. I love how simple they are, how easy to get into, but yet they're fast, they're fun, they're not too long. It's just perfection. And so, yeah, I really love Doom 1 and 2. I kind of lump them together. Just, chef kiss. And so that was a really great question. And at the end here, I want to thank the people who helped me answer this. It was really fun doing these videos, reaching out to other creators and bringing in their perspective. And some of them have a lot of fun with it. I loved Joe's because he's got me dancing in the background. He didn't tell me that he was going to do that in his video, so I thought that was really funny. So, but yes, please check them out. I'll put a link down to all their channels in the video description below. And as always, guys, I want to thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.